Have you ever finally gotten through a hard period of your life and still couldn't relax? You're lying in bed. Nothing is wrong. Nobody is angry at you. No crisis needs solving. And yet you're scanning for something. Anything. A problem. A threat. A reason you can't let your guard down. Maybe you've gotten good news and immediately started waiting for the bad news that might follow. Maybe things are finally stable, and that stability feels strangely temporary. Maybe someone genuinely cares about you, and part of you keeps waiting for them to change their mind. If that feels familiar, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, I want you to be asking a different question than the one you came in with. Not, what's wrong with me, but what was I trained for? Most people assume stress comes from bad situations. But what happens when the bad situation ends and the stress doesn't? You overthink when things are going well. You struggle to enjoy peaceful moments. You prepare for problems that haven't happened. You keep one eye on the exit, even when nothing seems wrong. From the outside, it looks like anxiety, or overthinking, or maybe you're told you're just a negative person. But underneath those behaviors is often the same hidden pattern. Sometimes the hardest thing to trust isn't danger, it's peace. Researchers studying chronic stress have found that the body adapts to the environments it spends the most time in. Stress was never supposed to be permanent. Something happens, your body responds, the danger passes, you return to normal. But when stress sticks around long enough, the system starts making adjustments. Over time, constant alertness stops feeling like a temporary response. It becomes the new normal. The body learns that being ready is safer than being relaxed. The brain learns that scanning for problems is safer than assuming everything is okay. And here's the part most people never hear. Those lessons don't automatically disappear when life gets better. The danger can end. The habit of expecting danger can stay. Think about this. If you've spent years preparing for impact, what would calm actually feel like? For some people, the answer is uncomfortable. Not because calm is dangerous, but because calm is unfamiliar, and the brain is naturally cautious around unfamiliar things. This is where a lot of people get confused. They assume that if they still feel anxious, stressed, or restless, then something bad must still be happening. But sometimes what's happening is much simpler. The environment changed. The survival strategy didn't. For some people, this starts in adulthood. Years of chronic pressure, burnout, instability. For others, it starts much earlier. Maybe you grew up in a home where you never knew what version of someone you were going to get. Some days they were warm, some days they were distant. Maybe nobody yelled, maybe nobody hit you, but you learned to pay attention anyway, to moods, to tension, to subtle shifts in people's behavior. You learned to read the room before you entered it. You learned that staying alert felt safer than being surprised. At the time, those skills protected you. They worked. The problem is that the brain rarely throws away a survival strategy that worked, even when the environment changes. Research shows that people can continue paying extra attention to things that once signaled danger, even after those dangers are gone. In other words, the danger can leave long before the brain stops looking for it. The alarm system doesn't always get the memo. And there's another piece that's important. The brain doesn't simply erase old fear patterns. Instead, it gradually learns new experiences of safety. That's why healing often feels slower than people expect. Because healing isn't the brain forgetting danger, it's the brain learning that danger isn't everywhere anymore. And those are two very different things. This is why someone can logically know they're safe while emotionally feeling unsafe. Logic and survival learning don't always move at the same speed. So if you've ever wondered why peace feels strange, why calm makes you restless, why stability feels suspicious, why your mind keeps searching for problems during the exact moments you wanted to enjoy, maybe the answer isn't, what's wrong with me? Maybe the better question is, what was I trained for? Because you don't struggle with safety because you're broken. You struggle with safety because your brain has adapted to the environment it spent years living in. It learned lessons that were useful then. The challenge is that those lessons can keep running long after they're needed. The fact that peace feels uncomfortable doesn't mean you're incapable of healing.
Sometimes it simply means you've spent so much time surviving that your mind recognizes danger faster than it recognizes safety. And once you understand that, you stop seeing yourself as the problem. If this felt familiar, let me know in the comments. What does your mind do when life finally becomes calm? I read every comment, and your experience might help someone else realize they're not the only person living through this pattern. And if you want more videos uncovering the hidden survival responses shaping your thoughts, emotions, relationships, and sense of self, subscribe to Ink Instinct.